Hear Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Shema.
Come with us, if you will, into the studio of Your Arms to Israel International Ministries. We welcome you to the Shabbat Video Club. We're so happy you were able to join us, that you've taken the time to subscribe to this membership so that we can be a blessing to you by the word of Yahweh as you hunger and thirst after righteousness. Yahshua said, when you hunger and thirst after righteousness, he told us, his Talmidim, we shall be filled. Thank you so much for being a part of what Yahweh is doing in the two-house restoration and regathering of Israel in these last days. It's all about his word creating you, birthing you, preserving you, sealing you, keeping you, and then his word returning for you in the resurrection of the dead. You know, in Zechariah chapter 8, verse 23, there's a wonderful scripture that kind of shares what we're really all about. This says, Yahweh of hosts, again, go to Zechariah 8:23. It shall come to pass that 10 men will take hold out of all languages of all nations, and they will take hold of the wings, the tzitzit, the corners, the wings of him who is a Yehudite or a Jew, saying, we will go with you. We've heard Elohim is with you. So Yahweh says that in the latter days, all nations, speaking all languages, 10 men representing the 10 returning tribes of non-Jewish Israel, or the house of Ephraim, will come and they'll look and they'll seek and they'll find for someone who loves Yeshua, who's born again, and say, you know, we've heard you're a Jew born anew. And we know that you won't treat us as a Gentile, or as a heathen, or as a lucky to be saved Gentile, but as an equal heir. You'll treat us as an equal heir in Yisrael. That's why Yahweh has blessed me, my family, my ministry. Not that we're special, but Yisrael is special. And when we plug into his program, you come to me and say, hey, we'll grab your tzitzit because it's Yahweh who's with you. We're not really joining you. We're joining the Yahweh who is now with you. Take us away from the sons and the daughters of Greco-Roman religious theology and bring us back to Zion. And that's what this Your Arms to Israel Shabbat Video Club is all about. You and me being returned and restored, not just to Yahweh Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, but being restored to each other as Echad. Now, let's grab hold. Let's grab hold and let's go together. Well, we're going to head south a little bit on that turnpike, right into the synagogue services this Shabbat in the Miami Beach Yisrael Revival and B'nai Yeshua Synagogue, home of the Miami Beach Yisrael Revival. We'll see you again when the smoke clears. Shabbat Shalom.
Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad.
When it was dark in my heart, you gave life to me, child of darkness became a child of light. And when my soul was so dry and I needed drink, the water of life, you became for me. and I'll be what it takes to meet your needs. You were the widow's cruse of oil, and Elijah's meat. You were a shelter for old Noah, a shepherd for the sheep, and in that fire you were the fourth man, and a fire by day and night, a fire by night for your children to lead the way. Oh, I am the bread of life. Take and eat. And I'll be what it takes to meet your needs. I'll even go the way of Father, we just thank you. Thank you that you are there to meet our needs. And as you tell us in your word and in the message today, Father, that you will meet our needs. We just stretch forth our hands and be your hands and your feet to those in need. Hallelujah. So Father, we pray now that you just change our hearts. Change our hearts, make us more like you. Hallelujah.
And the Two House Connection. Again, what's the title of this message? Very good. Salvation, the poor, and the Two House Connection. Very good. Throughout this teaching, whenever you see the word poor, I want you to substitute or add, not to the word of Yahweh, but to your thinking. I want you to add the synonymous term hurting. Could you do that? Hurting. Whenever you see the word poor, I want you to add in your mind, not in the Bible, you don't want to add to the word of Yahweh, or take away from the word of Yahweh. I want you to add the word hurting. Poor or hurting. And I believe Yahweh is going to show us some things. I don't have the whole thing planned, but I know He does. Yahweh's going to show us some marvelous things from His Word.
Yes, He is.
If we can just grasp onto this message today. And it's all in line with what Yahweh is doing in our lives and in this ministry. Let me tell you, in less than 2 weeks, the Chaim B'Yeshua Human Resource Center has doctors. Check this out. In Michigan, we have our very first care facility, 24 hours, 7 days a week. We have our sister by the name of Mary Hayes. And she has 3 apartments in Michigan, Harrison. And in the last year, she lost her son, and she lost another friend who she used to be caregivers to this couple, to these 2 people. And now these apartments are available. They're vacant. And so she's waiting for Torah keeping, elderly, handicapped seniors who need assisted living within a kosher, Torah-based framework to come and to receive of assisted living 24/7, but within, she cook all their meals Torah, kosher, and pray together in Yeshua's name. So people are beginning to be gradually, slowly motivated to action, motivated to activity. Amen? And we're seeing in only 2 weeks, organizations listing, doctors giving out their home numbers. I mean, I've been alive now for 23 years or so, 23 plus years. And I've never seen doctors. I've never had a doctor's home number. Have you? I mean, maybe, but it's very rare, right? I'm not talking about a psychiatrist, I'm talking about an MD.
Oh, yeah.
A general practitioner.
Oh, yeah.
I've never had a home number of a general practitioner. So, and this guy has his home number listed, call me anytime for any reason. So, and he's a Jewish doctor, Jewish believer. So Yahweh is really changing our heart, our ministry, and the things that Yahweh is doing in our lives. Later on today, we have a very special treat from the wilds of the north, Pensacola, Florida, as our Rebbetzin Rivka is going to read to you a letter from a little munchkin by the name of Mina. And you're going to be scratching your head wondering what kind of healing is Yahweh doing in 2 weeks. Right, so she'll read that to you a little bit later. In 2 weeks, it's like, who is this? Who is this? Who is this young lady?
Y'all sure y'all want to know?
Yeshayahu 58:4. See, your fast lead to strife
Yes.
and contention,
Yes.
and to hitting with violent blows.
Uh-oh.
Fasting on a day like today will not make your voice to be heard on high. Is this the kind of fast that I have chosen? A day for a man to abuse or mortify himself? Is the object to hang your head down like a reed? To spread sackcloth and ashes onto yourself? Will you call this a fast? An acceptable day to Yahweh? So what I see from this is striking with the fist can be a metaphor here of hitting hard against wrong doctrine, but not having the life of love, Torah, and fruitfulness ourselves. In other words, we can hit hard, violently against the wrong pagan doctrine. That's okay. There's a place for that. There's a time for that. But not neglecting the better way, which according to Korinthia Aleph 13, the better way is love. Ahava. These three abide. Ahava, emunah, and what? Love, emunah, ahava, emunah, and tzedakah, charity. These three abide. Right? Meaning when prophecy ceases, when worship ministry ceases, when Bible teaching ceases, when midrashim and yeshivot cease, we are going to, these three will abide, because in heaven that's what abide. It abides. Love, charity, or tzedakah, righteousness, and shalom. Isn't that what heaven is? Righteousness is a faith-filled view of Yahweh, right? Seeing Yahweh through faith-filled view, face to face. Then shalom, and tzedakah, righteousness. Heaven is a place where there are no unrighteous people. It is only righteousness. Amen? So, I see this as a metaphor, hitting with violent blows, as just all the time in being in kind of like a state of contention all the time, right? And that there's something better to constantly being in a state of contention. And Yahweh will show us that better way right now. Rather, is not this the fast that I have chosen? To loose the chains of wickedness, to untie the heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free, deliverance, to break off every yoke. Is it not to distribute your lechem to the hungry, and to bring the poor that are cast out to your bayit, to your house. Isn't that the fast that I have chosen, says Yahweh? To bring the hurting, the poor, the downcast, those that are in bondage, to bring them to your home, to take them in, to clothe them. That's fasting. If you take them in and feed them and clothe them and pray for them and untie their bondages, that is the fast that I have chosen, says Yahweh. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Is it not to distribute your lechem to the hungry, to bring the poor that are cast out to your bayit? And when you see the naked, now, well, you know, brother, that Yeshua was teaching some heavy new covenant stuff. No, he wasn't. Yeshua in Matthew 25 was teaching Yeshayahu 58. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. We'll talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about that in a minute. He was just reiterating Yeshayahu 58. He wasn't teaching anything new. When you see the naked, you cover him, that you fulfill your duties to your mishpacha. Didn't Rav Shaul tell us the same thing? He that does not work is worse than an infidel and has denied the emunah. He that does not provide for his own house is worse than an infidel. Then, when, I don't understand when, then shall your light break forth as the morning, the light that is in you. For you are the light of the world, Yochanan 8:12. For a city that sit on a hill cannot be hid, because you are the light of the world. Then, so if we are the light of the world, when will that light shine forth? Then, when we clothe the naked, cover the naked, fulfill our duties to our Nazarene Israelite family and mishpacha, and take them into our bayit when necessary, not as a permanent border, but when necessary, then your light will break forth as the boker. And now watch this is what Yahweh showed me. And your health shall spring up forth speedily. There's a connection between healing and a refreshing of the body, soul, mind, and spirit, and helping the hurting, the downtrodden, the poor. As we refocus our view and our ministry and our lives, our individual lives, to helping the poor, the downcast, those who are less fortunate and don't have the blessings that some of us have, then as a byproduct of that understanding, that's the fast that Yahweh has chosen, our health will spring forth. So healing is tied to a care for the poor, or as Yahweh says, the fast that I have chosen. Okay, that's a nice way of saying the way to have the right doctrine. Yes, we are to hold fast to the basics of the faith. That's true. The virgin birth, the deity of Yeshua, the physical bodily resurrection of Yeshua from the grave. There can be no compromise. No debate, no discussion. If the preacher mumbles, humbles, or stumbles, is Yeshua deity? Is Yeshua Yahweh in the flesh? Is Yeshua born of a virgin? If they start doing this, get out. Go find another place to worship. Don't even wait for the answer. If they develop a stuttering problem. But when it comes to everything but the basics, in all things, love and charity. And so when we minister to the hurting among us, our brethren, those who need clothing and food and basic essentials, then our light, because we are the light of the world, are we not? That's a fact. That's a fact. We are the light of the world, right? But when we put our faith into action by taking care of the poor and the hurting, remember whenever you see the word, I want you to add the word hurting. When we see the hurting and the poor and we act on that, then the light that is in us will shine forth.
Hallelujah.
The light is there, but it needs to be activated. And it's activated through mitzvot, and through those mitzvot, healing comes to you personally as you reach out in healing to others. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Then, notice, your health will spring forth speedily, verse 8. Your righteousness, your tzedakah will go before you. It won't be stuck in you. If you ignore the hurting among Israel, and the downcast and the downtrodden and the less privileged, your light will be in you, your tzedakah will be in you, and Yahweh has called us not to be in us, but to let it shine forth and go before us. Talk to me, somebody. And the tiferet, or the glory of Yahweh, shall be your reward. Y te da presencia. Solamente, yo me gusto, yo quiero solamente la presencia de Yahweh. Yeah, we talk a good game, but if you want more of the tiferet as your reward, right? What did Yahweh say to Abraham? Abraham, you've been a good Hebrew boy. I've made a covenant with you. We're in covenant together, right? So it's not things and Mercedes and name it and claim it and brab it and glab it. It is, I am, Bereshit 15, I am your shield and your exceeding great reward. I myself, my personhood, I am your shield and your exceeding great reward. So when we reach out to the hurting, our health springs forth, our tzedakah, our light shines out. Our tzedakah goes not in us, it's not hidden, because Yeshua said, do not take your light and hide it under a bushel, right? And the tiferet of Yahweh will be your reward. Then when you have all the right doctrine? No. When you're violently fighting each other over what time Shabbat starts? No. When you spend 39 hours a week arguing over what's the right calendar? No, there's a place for that. But once you've determined what the right calendar is in your heart, we are not to ignore the hurting and the poor among us. We're to move on to let our righteousness go before us, not get stuck in us.
Hallelujah.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Then we will have His presence, and we will be healed. So healing does not have to happen on a Sunday morning line and someone laying hands on you. See, we're so conditioned to thinking that if somebody doesn't come forward and lay hands on us and we don't fall backwards, we can't be healed. Now He says, no. The way to be healed is find a poor man, find a hurting individual, open up your heart, open up your light, open up your tzedakah, open up your house, and your healing will just spring forth. Yahweh will see to it that your dry bones will become full of life and full of vitality.
Amen. Hallelujah.
You don't need that line, that healing line. Yahweh is your healing line. His presence is your reward. His tiferet is your reward. Then you will call and Yahweh will answer. Verse 9. What's a nice way of saying that? Prayers will be answered as we realize that ministering to the hurting brings about answered prayer. Then you will cry, and He will say what? Hineni. Isn't that what we want Abba Yahweh to say? Hineni. Yahweh, I'm not ignoring the hurting. I'm not ignoring the poor. I'm not ignoring those in bondage. I'm not ignoring those who are victims of abuse and terror and murder and all these terrible things that the world has to offer us. And then Yahweh will go, Hineni, here I am. I'll be found, right? Hineni. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. It's beautiful, beautiful scripture. Beautiful. If you take, now watch this, look at verse 9. He will say Hineni.